to this class. My name is Victor Kipto. Today we are going to learn about volumes. In mathematics, volume is the mathematical quantity that shows the amount of three-dimensional space occupied by an object or a closed surface. The unit of volume is in cubic units such as meter cubic, centimeter cubic, inches cubic, etc. Sometimes volume is also termed as capacity. For example, the amount of water a cylindrical jar can occupy is measured by its volume. Now we are going to see the definition of volume. A volume is simply defined as the amount of space occupied by any three-dimensional solid. These solids can be a cube, a cuboid, a cone, a cylinder, or a sphere. Different shapes have different volumes. In three-dimensional geometry, we have studied the various shapes and solids such as cubes, cuboids, cylinders, cones, etc. That are defined in 3 dimensions. For all these shapes, today we are going to learn how to find their volumes. We have talked about the units of volume, and the standard unit of volume is in the International System of Units, that is the SI unit. Similarly, other units of volume are cubic centimeters, cubic feet, and cubic inches. Example: if a cuboid has dimensions of 10 centimeter by 3 centimeter by 5 centimeters, and we are told to find its volume, the volume will be the length times the width times the height. When you see that the length and width makes the area, and then times the height to make the volume, which will be 10 centimeters by 3 centimeters by 5 centimeters, which will make 150 cubic centimeters. We can also be asked to deal about the volume of liquids. Basically, the volume of a liquid is measured in liters, where 1 liter is equals to 1000 cubic centimeters. Hence, 1 cubic meter is equals to 1000 liters. Now we are going to see the volume formulas. The formula to calculate the volume of a solid in a three-dimensional space is to find the product of dimensions. Basically, the volume is equals to the product of the area and the height of the shape. That is, volume is equals to the base area times the height. We have different shapes, and for shapes having flat surfaces such as cubes and cuboids, it is easy to find volume. But for curved shapes like cones, cylinders, and spheres, we have to consider the dimensions of their curved surfaces as well, such as radius and diameter. Now let us check how to calculate the volume of shapes. And today we are going to start with the volume of a cube. A cube is equal in the height, the width, all sides are equal, and therefore the volume is given by when we call one side x, the volume will be x cube, where x is the edge length of a cube. Now I'm going to show you a short video clip showing us the cube and how to calculate its volume.
In this lesson, we're going to talk about how to calculate the volume of a cube. So let's say the side length is 7. What is the volume of this cube? Now we know that the volume of a rectangular prism is the length times the width times the height. However, for a cube, all sides are the same. So this is x, x, and x. So it turns out that the volume of a cube is just x cubed. So in this example, it's going to be 7 to the third power, or 7 times 7 times 7. 7 to the third power is 343. So if this was 7 inches, this would be 343 cubic inches. And that's all you need to do in order to calculate the volume of a cube.
Okay, now we have watched the video of how to calculate the cube. Now in the cuboid, the different part is the length. The length is longer than the width, and the cuboid, how to calculate its volume is by multiplying the length times the width and times the height, and in that you will find the volume of the cuboid. In basic terms, you'll realize that length times width is the base area, of which we have said that volume is the base area times the height. So length times the width in the cuboid will give us the base area, and then the height, which will give us the volume. We are also going to have a short clip of showing us how to calculate the cuboid of the volume of a cuboid.
Volume of a cuboid. Today, let us study how to find the volume of a cuboid. A cuboid is a solid geometrical object with 6 faces. Each face of a cuboid is a rectangle. In the figure, the length, breadth, and height are marked. We get the volume of a cuboid by multiplying its length, breadth, and height. Thus, volume of a cuboid is equal to length into breadth into height, which is equal to L into B into H. Let us solve an example. Find the volume of a cuboid having length 4 meters, breadth 2 meters, and height 6 meters. Volume of a cuboid is equal to length into breadth into height, which is equal to 4 into 2 into 6, which is equal to 48 cubic centimeters. Thus, the volume of the given cuboid is 48 cubic centimeters. Now, let us solve a story problem. Aisha has a box of dimensions 12 centimeters into 6 centimeters into 3 centimeters. She wants to stack erasers in it. The volume of one eraser is 6 cubic centimeters. How many erasers can be stacked in that box? Firstly, volume of the box is equal to 12 centimeters into 6 centimeters into 3 centimeters, which is equal to 216 cubic centimeters. It is given that the volume of one eraser is equal to 6 cubic centimeters. Therefore, number of erasers stacked is equal to volume of the box divided by the volume of one eraser, which is equal to 216 divided by 6, which is equal to 36. Thus, 36 erasers can be stacked in Aisha's box.
Okay, having watched the volume of a cuboid, we are now going to deal with the volume of a cylinder. A cylinder, for those who don't know, is the one that shape that we are showing in the screen. As you can see the base area, and then the height. That is now a cylinder. But now you come, we deal with our topic, that is volume of finding a cylinder. Volume of finding a cylinder is equals to by r square times height, where by is the is equivalent to 3.142, and then r is the radius of the base area, and then the height, which will give us the volume of the cylinder, by r square h. R is the radius and h is the height of the cylinder. Also, as always, we are also going to have a short clip showing us how to calculate the volume of a cylinder.
Welcome to Math with Mr. J. In this video, I'm going to cover how to find the volume of a cylinder. And remember, volume is the amount of space a three-dimensional object takes up. So let's get into our example here, where we have a cylinder with a given height of 8 inches, and our base has a given radius of 3 inches. So that's the information we need in order to calculate volume of a cylinder. Now we have two formulas at the top of our screen here. They look different, but they mean the exact same thing. So the top one says volume equals a capital B times H. So that capital B means the area of the base times H, which is height. Now the formula below that says volume equals pi r squared, so pi times radius squared times height. Now pi r squared, that's the formula for the area of a circle. So in the case of this cylinder, our base is a circle. So the area of the base, that capital B, expanded out to the formula we're going to use, pi r squared, would give us that formula that's below. So they mean the same thing, they just look a little different. So now we plug in our givens, that height and radius of the base, into our formula in order to calculate the volume of this cylinder. So we will come to the side, we'll rewrite our formula, pi times radius squared times height. Then we will plug in. So pi times the radius of our base, which is 3 inches, squared, times the height of 8 inches. So time to simplify and work our way down to the final answer. So we will do one step at a time here. So 3 squared would be first, which means 3 times 3, and that gives us 9, times the height of 8. So next step, we could do 9 times 8, which is 72, and we multiply that by pi. So I put the 72 before the pi because typically when you multiply something by pi, you put the number first. And multiplication is commutative, so you can switch the order of things and still get the same answer. For example, 3 times 2 is 6, and 2 times 3 is 6. It doesn't matter the order. So 72 times pi, as far as that goes, I'm going to use the pi button on my calculator when I punch this in. If you are using the approximate or rounded pi 3.14, which is common to do, you may get a slightly different answer than me, but you are still correct. You just use the rounded version of pi. So once I punch that in, I get a pretty long decimal there, so I'm going to round it to the hundredths place. Again, I'm rounding my answer to the hundredths place, and I get 226 and 19 hundredths. And this is volume, so we use cubic inches, or I'm sorry, cubic, whatever the unit of measure is, and in this case, we were working with inches, so cubic inches. So volume equals 226 and 19 hundredths cubic inches. So there's how you find the volume of a cylinder. We found the area of the base and multiplied it by the height. Now our base was a circle, so we used pi r squared in order to calculate the area of our base and multiplied it by the height. I hope that helped. Thanks so much for watching.
Okay, now we have seen how to find the volume of a cylinder. It's been a good video, and now lastly we are going to see how to calculate the volume of a sphere. Sphere is something like a football, and how to find its volume is 4/3 by r cube, where by is equivalent to 3.142 and r is the radius of the sphere. In this, we are going to also to have a very short clip showing us how to calculate the volume of a sphere, and after this we will have learned how to calculate volume of different shapes. We had earlier learned about how to calculate the volume of a cube, a cuboid, a cylinder, and finally now we are going to learn how to calculate the volume of a sphere.
In this example, we're asked to find the volume of the given sphere. To find the volume of a sphere, we use the formula volume equals 4/3 times pi times radius cubed. So here, since the radius is 3 inches, we can plug 3 inches in for the radius in our formula, and we have 4/3 times pi times 3 inches cubed. Remember that 3 inches cubed is the same thing as 3 inches times 3 inches times 3 inches, which equals 27 inches cubed. And we have 4/3 pi times 27 inches cubed. Next, notice that the 27 and 3 cross-cancel to 9 and 1. And we have 4 times pi times 9 inches cubed, which simplifies to 36 pi inches cubed. So one way to write the volume of the given sphere is 36 pi cubic inches. Next, remember that pi is approximately equal to 3.14, so we can plug 3.14 in for pi, and we have 36 times 3.14 inches cubed, which equals 113.04 inches cubed. So another way to write the volume of the given sphere is 113.04 cubic inches. So remember this formula for the volume of a sphere: 4/3 pi times the radius cubed.
Okay, having seen the volume of a sphere, I now want to tell you that is how to calculate the volumes of different shapes. But just to remind ourselves, we had said there are some of the questions people ask about volume, and you may find this in your exams, like what is volume? And I've said that volume is a three-dimensional quantity that is used to measure the capacity of a solid shape. It means the amount of three-dimensional space a closed figure can occupy is measured by its volume. Also, someone can ask you what is the formula of volume, and unlike area, where two dimensions are multiplied to find the region covered by a shape, volume is measured by multiplying the area of a shape with its third dimension. For example, if the area of the rectangle is length times the breadth, then the volume of the cuboid formed by elongating the dimensions of the rectangle is in space is equals to length times breadth times the height. Another question is what is the unit of volume? In maths, volume is measured in cubic units such as cubic meters, cubic centimeters, cubic millimeters, etc. The volume of liquid is usually measured in liters and gallons. Someone also can ask you, is the volume of a cube and cuboid the same? I can also ask you such a question, but the answer will be a cube has all its faces in square shape and a cuboid has rectangular faces. Therefore, the edge lengths of cube are equal to each other, whereas for cuboid they are different. Hence, a cube and cuboid cannot have the same volume. Note that. The last question someone can ask you, we have not dealt with this, is the volume of a pyramid is equals to 1/3 product of area and its base and height. Now, students, having talked about the volume, that's the end of our class. Thank you for being patient watching this video. Welcome again for the next presentation. Thank you.
Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, peace.